The Canada-USA Summer Series continues here at Winsport in Calgary. And tonight's game matches Canada's development team against the United States development team. Lots of terrific talent, including for the United States, Abby Murphy, who played at the Olympic Games in Beijing in February. Last night, a terrific contest between these two teams. Canada winning 4-3 in a shootout. A very even game as far as shots on goal were concerned, and we expect another fine affair here tonight in this beautiful building, the home of Hockey Canada. And now, the national anthems. Game 2 of 3, Canada taking on the United States. The two development teams in action put on quite a show last night, as this rivalry rarely ever disappoints. They required a shootout. Will that be the case again this evening? Earlier today, Game 2 in the U18 Summer Series between the two countries were played, and Canada recording a 4-0 victory. So the United States development team trying to get its country on the board here in Calgary. And we are delighted to bring it to you, our crew here at HN Live. I'm Peter Loubardius, and glad to have you with us, no matter what country you are looking in on. And Hockey Canada's and Hockey USA's websites and on their respective YouTube channels. And Game 2 of the development series is underway. Bookbinder to U.S. Olympian Abby Murphy. She's stopped by Rylan McKinnon. And Dominique Petrie will track it down against the youngster, Sarah Swiderski, who's lost her stick. She's just 17, the Canadian defender from Langley, British Columbia, who carries it ahead and flips it in. Bookbinder for Lamantia, she let it go. And Serdachny, who had an excellent game number 1 last night with 2 goals, out for Canada with Sarah Paul and Maggie Connors. This is Murphy. Bookbinder to her partner, University of Wisconsin product, Lamantia, finds Jamie Nelson. And it's chipped ahead by Maddie Wheeler. Gosling heading to the front of the net. Julia, there are 2 Goslings on the Canadian team. Nicole, who has it now, and her sister, Julia. Megan Carter in front through the seam. That's broken up as Wheeler keeps it alive on right wing. For Emmy Fechtow, and poked away by Nelson as Carter races back, one of the Canadian assistant captains. The first test, and it's not an easy one, for 19-year-old goaltender Hannah Murphy. Wilgren in front and tipped. And Murphy, before we even had a chance to introduce her, comes up with a couple of big saves. Hannah is 19 years of age. She is from Bradford, Ontario, had a marvelous season at Colgate University, where she went 17-3 and posted a .930 save percentage. At the other end, for a second straight evening, it's Callie Shanahan. She's also 19 years of age. Stopped 31 of 34 last night. Ashley Messier loses the handle, centered it in front. They score! As the United States off to a great beginning. And making absolutely no mistake is Tessa Janicki. She's just 18 from Orangeville, Illinois. And she had 2 goals last night in the American shootout setback. And on the board with her 3rd goal of this summer series, just 153 in. Janicki put up unbelievable numbers at the North American Hockey Academy and also had a marvelous U18 World Championship for the United States in June in Wisconsin. She has the Americans on the board early. Clear to the line. Madeline Wethington. She won 3 World Under-18 Championships. Maggie Connors in transition. The St. John's, Newfoundland product ripped it off the crossbar. So Canada's Connors comes right back with a great opportunity, but doink, off the bar it went for number 18. She has spent the last 3 years at Princeton, where last season scored 13 goals and 22 points in 31 games. Had 47 points and 43 points, respectively, in years 1 and 2. And I was really impressed with her at the Canadian camp. Back goes Carter, and it will be icing. So Janicki has the United States on the board. I talked about her World Under-18 performance, 3 goals, 3 assists for 6 points. Not out there right now. Casey O'Brien to take the draw for the United States. Against 23, or make that number 19, that's Daniel Serdachny. Britta Curl. She drops it off. A hard shot from McKenna Webster. Just went wide. Britta Curl played in this very building last August. She was a member of the United States World Championship team that lost in overtime to Team Canada in the championship final. But unable to crack the American roster as the women's national team, along with Canada's, getting set for a trip to Denmark, where the World Championships actually begin a week from today. Julia Gosling had a fine opening night of the series. And this is Abby Murphy. Murphy to center. Skates in. Runs into Gosling. Haley Wynn pinching down. Behind the net. McKinnon is there. Slid right through the crease. Fecto gives it away. Edwards a pass. Intercepted, and now Gosling with time to operate for Canada tries to spring Maddie Wheeler, who had the overtime winner against the United States to capture the 2019 World Under-18 title in Japan. There's McKinnon a whack for the stick. Of the United States, number 28. And that is Kiara Zanin. Sydney Bard lets it go. That's tipped wide. Canada yet to register a shot on goal. The Americans have 5, including Tessa Janicki's 3rd of this summer series. Wethington, nice turn. In deep in her own zone to start the breakout off the stick of Nelson. And she has quite a collision as Nicole Gosling plays it on left wing. Bard is there, shoots it in front. Wethington blockered away by Hannah Murphy. As it's been all USA early in this first period. Nicole Gosling up the middle, wants Amy Potomac. She'll tip it in. And Corey Chevry's Canadian team making changes. Bard. Intercepted by Ann Cherkowski. She centered it in front, chipped at it, and there's the first work for Callahan. Mae Batherson. Her shot deflected off the stick of Bookbinder. Cherkowski now. Batherson unable to hold it in. Just came outside the line. Mae Batherson is the sister of Ottawa Senator right winger Drake Batherson. Mae has spent the last 3 years playing at Syracuse University. Had 7 assists during their campaign last season. Good start to this one. Glad to have you with us, wherever you're looking in. Rylan McKinnon to Maggie Connors, sends it ahead. Paul with Serdachny. Paul let it go, and a good save by 19-year-old Carly Shanahan. She's from Commerce Township, Michigan, and played last season at Boston University, where she went 6-5-2 with a .236 goals against average and an impressive .925 save percentage. A product of Detroit's Honey Baked minor program. Paul tips it behind the net. Serdachny regains her balance, protects it versus Bookbinder. Connors trying to get away from Janicki. Lamantia up the wing. McKinnon lost it, and the U.S. comes away 3-on-1. Maureen Murphy through the crease, and she fails to make the connection with McKenna Webster. Webster, she rifles it, but wide on the short side as Haley Wynn keeps it into the right point. Maureen Murphy. Centered in front, Britta Curl, she scores. As the U.S. onslaught continues here in period number 1. And Britta Curl, who had a goal for the United States in that World Championship in this building last August, has a goal tonight to go along with her assist in game 1. So Janicki and Curl have found the back of the net. And it's 2-0 for the United States. And they're back in the Canadian zone looking for more. Curl again. Knocked away from her. Good lead pass for Lexi Agia. Maddie Wheeler in deep for Agia. With Wheeler and Julia Goslin intercepted by Curl. And here comes O'Brien to Dominique Petrie, but she has it roll off the heel of her stick as Sarah Wozniewicz wheels in behind the net and drops it off. And Batherson flips it high to the American line. Janicki and Curl, it's 2-0 for the United States, trying to even this development team summer series at 1 game apiece. The Canadians won 4-3 in a shootout 1 night ago. Wethington knocks down Wozniewicz as McKinnon keeps it in. She's bumped by Murphy, as in Abby, not to be confused with Maureen. There are 2 Murphys on the U.S. team. Good hustle that beats out the icing by Zanin. Cherkowski gets to it first, runs into Lamantia. Plays it to an open wing. Gabrielle David with Fectow on the Canadian forward line. This is Stephanie Markowski. Plays it behind the net where Zanin takes over. Her outlet intercepted by Cherkowski. David and Zanin in quite a collision. Remember, in women's hockey, body contact is A-OK. Body checking is not. And there can be a very fine line between those 2 items. Into the slot. Wrist shot by David. And it went off the shin guard of Lamantia. As the Canadians with a little pressure for the first time in the period. Connors can't dance around the defender. And here comes Kelsey King. King bursts into the zone, puts on the brakes, finds Wynn. Her cross crease pass intercepted, and an opportunity for Potomac. She's got Connors with her. Potomac, Connors, she scores! Perfectly executed, and Canada back within a goal as Maggie Connors drives the net and slides it by Kelly Shanahan. And it's 2-1. Maggie Connors from St. John's, Newfoundland. Drove the net, got inside position, and Potomac laid a beautiful pass right on her tape. And the Canadians stem the Americans' tide here in the first. McKinnon's pass, and this will be icing. Maggie Connors, three years at Princeton, at a very good camp. Also played for Canada at the 2018 U18 World Championships. As Murphy, as in Hannah, there are three. Hannah for Canada, the goalie, Abby and Maureen for the United States. 9-4 shots favoring the red, white, and blue. Janicki, who opened the scoring to take the draw. And Potomac wins it for Wozniewicz. In behind Jennifer Gardner as Wynn steers it in behind the Canadian net. Markowski tapped ahead Wilgren knocks it down and makes a good lead pass as Janicki turns at center. Tessa Janicki, a fine player. 3 goals already in this series. I don't think it'll be long before you see the 18-year-old participate for the women's national team. Wethington back, and it goes across the end line. So we're off to a terrific start in game 2 of this series. And a face-off back in the Canadian zone. Janicki with a goal for the Americans. Maggie Connors has scored for Canada to cut the 2-0 deficit to 2-1. Sydney Bard towards Casey O'Brien. Nice tight turn behind the net, centered it, but put it on the stick of Wozniewicz. Bard closes the gap in a hurry as Webster carries in, dishes off, and a good stick save on the short side made by Murphy. Wethington just onside. Bookbinder behind the net. O'Brien's pass intercepted, and away comes number 11 for Canada. That's Annie Cherkowski, and Lamantia played her perfectly. Gabrielle David in hot pursuit. Fecto. Good work by Webster to chop it out of the zone under duress. David, wrist shot through a screen. And Shanahan did well to find it and stop it. 2-1, the United States lead. As is the regular case in international play. 3 timeouts in each period for television purposes. Sometimes at summer series like this, they will not include them, but they are here for both the U18s and the development teams. So Janicki and Curl for Allison Kumi's Team USA. Allison, a long-time coach as an assistant, Boston University. Now she's the associate head coach at Penn State. And was an assistant coach for the United States at the World Women's. On the other side, head coach for Canada is 35-year-old new Glasgow, Nova Scotia product, Corey Chevry. Corey in the middle of the bench in the blue blazer. She helped coach Canada at the U18 Men's Worlds in Germany in April and May, flanked by Marc-Andre Cote and Rachel Flanagan. Connors comes back out, the Canadian goal getter, with Danielle Serdachny. We watched her younger sister Maya help Canada win the U18 game earlier today by a count of 4-0. But it's the U.S. leading, and that should be a penalty. And it's going to be our first one of this game. A delay of game coming up. And that looks like 22-year-old Nicole Lamantia, who flipped it out of play. Nicole is a product of Wayne, Illinois. She helped the United States win a World Under-18 title in the year 2017. But right now, sits in the penalty box, and the Canadians, who last night were 1 for 5 on the power play, have their first of the game, looking to equalize. Sarah Paul to Ashley Messier. She had an assist last night into the high slot. Paul moves in, her low wrister wide on the far side. Messier moves to the middle. Paul on the left flank. Gosling's in the bumper. This is Serdachny. 2 goals last night. Leaves it for Messier. Her shot blocked in front, cleared, not out, kept alive by Paul, stripped by Jamie Nelson, and she backhands it down the ice. Ashley Messier from Wilcox, Saskatchewan, to Megan Carter. Carter, Serdachny in tight quarters, and Akervik able to poke it out to the neutral zone. And now there's Janicki again, this time short-handed, causing some havoc. Opened the scoring in the first 2 minutes, did Tessa. And she's on her way to Penn State University. To play once again for her current coach here with the development team. An American face-off win and a clear down the ice by Charlotte Akervik from Eau Claire, Wisconsin. A lot of great softball has been played over the years in that fine community. Charlotte has spent 3 years at Minnesota State. And number 2 skates off. And the Canadians, outside of a bit of an early first 30 seconds, have not been able to generate much on this power play. 11-5 shots on goal in favor of the USA. O'Brien backhands it to center, and McKinnon finds her partner, Sarah Swiderski, the youngest member of this Canadian team. She will not turn 18 until the 11th of November. A U18 world champion this past June in Madison, Wisconsin. Fecto. And the aforementioned Swiderski couldn't keep it in. As Lamantia's penalty comes to a conclusion. Wynn plays it ahead. Trying to take over is Cherkowski. She's knocked down, and there will be another penalty coming up to the United States. So Canada unable to mount much of an attack with their first player advantage. This time it's going to be Haley Wynn, the 19-year-old from Rochester, New York, who completed her first season at Clarkson University, where she had 7 goals, 16 assists for 23 points. And helped the United States win a gold medal at the 2020 World Under-18 Championship. So the Canadians looking to draw up a plan. The Americans' plan to defend was excellent on the first Canadian power play. Janicki and Curl have scored for the United States. Maggie Connors has replied for Canada. .6:12 to go. This is game 2 of the 3-game summer series. It will conclude with a contest on Saturday night. And the U.S. hoping to force a game 3 that would decide a summer series winner. In the U18 program, Canada has already gone 2 for 2. An even face-off, back to the line. Messier tried to keep it in. Petrie forced it out to the neutral zone. Messier, watched closely by Dominique Petrie, turns away from her and finds Serdachny. Like her sister Maya, also wearing number 19. Down low against Lamantia, who's lost her stick. Sarah Paul. Paul into the corner for Serdachny. Gosling in front in the bumper. Serdachny to Messier. Sarah Paul, and the pass too hot to handle, and number 17 goes back to track it down. She's from Kelowna, British Columbia, Sarah Paul. Playing at Princeton, Maddie Wheeler with a good forecheck. Wheeler. Nicole Gosling teed it up for Paul, and Shanahan kicked out the right pad. Wilgren. Good work to come off the boards and received some help from Kelly Brown to make sure it left the zone. 40 to go on the Canadian power play. Wheeler tried to go back to the point. Wilgren without a stick. Akravic can't clear it, but she blocked it and makes no mistake on her second opportunity. Got a good one brewing on night 2. So what's new when these two countries play one another in women's hockey at any level? Janicki tied up by Carter. And the Americans' penalty killing has been excellent. Connors. Cross corner dump in. Gia raced in for it. And Sophie Shirley in hot pursuit in transition before Maureen Murphy carries in. Working one-on-one against Ryland McKinnon. Layla Edwards, she's just 18. She had a fantastic world championship for the United States. She had 8 points and was named the tournament's top forward. Julia Gosling lets it go off a stick. Sophie Shirley of Saskatoon played it into the corner as the Canadians making some changes. Gosling, the Canadian captain, and the pass from Batherson goes by her. And Markowski regroups in her own zone. 11-6 are the shots in favor of the United States. Wethington cuts it off in front. She's had a quality first period. O'Brien sends it in. No icing. O'Brien finds McKenna Webster. Bard in front by herself, but the puck jumped over her stick. Good chance for Sydney Bard. Webster, rink wide, finds O'Brien. Towards one of the American goal getters, Britta Curl. Bard. Wethington, well wide, and Gabrielle David finds Emmy Fecto. And Bard makes an excellent defensive play at her own line. Webster did not quite get to center before she chipped it in. So icing is the call. 2:27 to go in a well-played, entertaining first period. Potomac back on the ice with Gardner for Canada and Sarah Wozniewicz, who is from nearby Cochrane, who had 10 goals and 19 points this past season at the University of Wisconsin. Potomac's pass goes off a skate. Bard forces it out. And Nicole Gosling, good pass for Potomac, who set up the first Canadian goal, but her shot is deflected out of play. Amy's 23. She's from Aldergrove, has spent the last 4 years at the University of Minnesota. Played for Canada twice in the World U18 Championships and has always been around it as far as the national women's team is concerned. Carter's got some room. Through a screen. Shanahan found it, stopped it, and Wilgren clears it for Abby Murphy. She is a dynamic player, number 18 for the U.S. Wynn looking for a tip in front. Connors comes away with it and finds Paul. Sarah Paul one-on-one, and Wilgren makes the one-on-one defensive play. Wearing the captaincy along with Britta Curl. Haley Wynn bursts into the zone. McKinnon will try and track it down. Wynn will beat her to it. Behind the net it goes. Wynn again. Bookbinder. That shot block goes in behind the net. The Americans with some late pressure, looking to add to their 2-1 advantage. Kelsey King leaves it for Bookbinder, and well defended by Lexi Agia. Julia Gosling races in. And Kelsey King content to shovel it right back out. Wheeler bursts in. Bookbinder first to it. An outlet towards King. Wristed by Markowski. Blocked by Wynn. And King chips it out. And Haley Wynn felt that Markowski shot. Fecto. Maureen Murphy couldn't keep it in as Akervik steered it into the Team Canada zone. Akervik missed Nelson. Time winding down. A good opening period. The Americans controlled, especially early. Built a 2-0 lead on goals by Tessa Janicki and Britta Curl before Maggie Connors came back to score for Canada. 2-1 after 20 here at Winsport in Calgary as the two development teams of these two great countries battle it out in Game 2 of this 3-game set. Back with the second period in about 15 minutes time. USA leading Team Canada 2-1 in Game 2 of the Development Team's Summer Series. Kelly Shannon, the 19-year-old from the Detroit area, on her way to the U.S. net. She only faced 6 shots. And Hannah Murphy, busier, especially earlier in the first period. The 19-year-old from Bradford, Ontario. She had a great camp. She stopped 34 of 38 shots as the national women's team held a camp for 4 different teams to pare down for this development squad and the team that's making its way to Denmark for the Women's World Championship. So Hannah was very strong in that camp and had a good first period. Tessa Janicki's third of the Summer Series, and Britta Curl, Maggie Connors scored for Canada. And see what type of adjustments both teams were able to make in the dressing room as period 2 underway. Lamantia, there's the ice in that end of the rink. Always sticky. It seems to start a period, especially the second. Canada breaking in 3-on-2. This is Connors to the middle of the ice, but Lamantia stayed with her and blocked it. Serdachny knocked down Danielle. And trying to get loose is Dominique Petrie. Gonna bounce right to her, wrap around, went right through the crease. Petrie on it again. She'll spin, go to the forehand this time, but deflected off Sarah Swiderski's stick wide. Abby Murphy. Probably disappointed, to be sure, after playing at the Olympic Games, not to be at the World Championships. But I'm sure she will be in the future. Lexi Agia. Well, the ice is also sticky at the other end. And it is causing an absolute mess. Both teams, a little excess water on the ice. This is the second game of the day. And there it goes again. Wheeler chops at it. Agia there trying to dig it loose. She does. Lexi Agia looks at Nicole Gosling. Continues to possess the puck. Backhands it behind the net. Julia Gosling finds Megan Carter, and a good stop by Shanahan. Kelsey King races in, beats it out for the icing. And Maddie Wheeler comes back defensively. Potomac plays it in for Jennifer Gardner. Gardner gets to it first, centers it. The U.S. in good defensive position and out to center. Ashley Messier will pound it right back in. Gardner will leave it. Markowski tried to shovel it down low, didn't work out, and Messier somewhat dangerously behind her back of the Canadian line, but did make the connection with her partner. Wozniewicz out of the reach of Potomac. Fecto. And now Ashley Messier. Americans with a lot of bodies in the middle of the ice. Tipped in and racing in with good speed is Gabrielle David from Drummondville, Quebec. McKinnon does well, and the Americans yelling for a penalty. Wethington with David right on top of her, reverses it towards Maureen Murphy, who was in on both U.S. goals in the first. Turkowski to Swiderski, who stays with it. David played behind the net. Nice tight turn by Madeline Wethington. And she's content to bank it out to center where Curl pushed it to the Canadian line. Ice creating some havoc for the players to get into a flow to start the second period. Usually it takes a couple minutes. Wilgren turned it over to Serdachny, who bursts in against Bookbinder. Danielle Serdachny. Back to the line it goes. Nicole Gosling to Megan Carter. She's from Milton, Ontario. Played at Northeastern the last 3 years. And here comes McKenna Webster with speed, and Casey O'Brien catching up, and a diving effort by Serdachny defensively to take away a U.S. scoring chance. Fine work by Canada's number 19. Captain Julia Gosling had a goal last night. Gosling into the corner. Wethington stapled to her. There's Haley Wynn for Layla Edwards. Kept in at the line. Backhand try. Gosling forces Callahan to make a good stop. Is Canada pressing for an equalizer? Wheeler against Petrie. Wheeler protects, sends it behind the net, wide open. Julia Gosling, and Shanahan stopped her from point blank range. Zanin in transition. Batherson lost an edge. The Americans couldn't take advantage. Edwards has it roll off her stick. Julia Gosling at the end of a long shift probably wants to head off, and now she'll have an opportunity to do that. Julia wearing number 88. She's from London, Ontario. Was part of the Canadian centralization group towards the Olympics last year. Played in 2 World Under-18s, gold in 2019 and a silver in 2018. She's 21 years of age, on her way back to St. Lawrence University. A good one in game 2. And why wouldn't it be? When these two countries get together in women's action. Kelly Brown backhands it. Hannah Murphy forced to play it in the Canadian net. Gardner stopped. This is Jamie Nelson. Good stick from Swiderski to deflect it out of play. Swiderski, number 4 for Canada, won 2 titles last year. She helped rank Kelowna to the U18 Female Prep Canadian Sports School title in March in Penticton. Had 10 points in those playoffs. And then had a couple of assists to help Canada win the World Under-18 title in Wisconsin. 5'9", Sarah Swiderski. Sarah had 5 assists in one of those playoff games for Rank Kelowna that featured Brooke Disher, Jade Aginla, just to mention a couple others. Corey Chevry, who's broken many barriers. She's been a long-time assistant, the men's program at Ryerson University in Toronto. It's getting a name change. And mentioned earlier that she's an assistant for Canada's Olympic team in Beijing and an assistant for Canada's World Under-18 men's team in Germany. The head coach here of the development team. Kept in. Sydney Bard, wrist shot, tipped over top of the net. turned into a good chance for the U.S. is Wozniewicz with a good lead pass for Gardner. With Potomac and Wozniewicz as Jennifer Gardner shoots that. No trouble for Shanahan to make that save. Nelson flips it in. And the U.S. making changes nearing the 7-minute mark of period 2. Cherkowski stripped by Lamantia to Bookbinder. Nicole Gosling. And Effecto to Cherkowski just out of her reach. As both teams play catch in the middle of the ice here in the second. No goals in period 2. Janicki and Curl in the first for the Americans before Maggie Connors responded for Canada. And here come the Americans looking for more. Good stop by Murphy as she made the save. Canada in transition, Gabrielle David. That went off the left shoulder of Callie Shanahan. Made a fine save. The Boston University product, wearing their red and white pads. As Gabrielle David burst in, let a good wrister go. She's from Drummondville, Quebec. Intercepted by Serdachny, but then stripped immediately by Britta Curl to McKenna Webster. Poked off her stick, but Webster stays right with it. Curl and O'Brien with her. Britta Curl has one of the 2 American goals. Wilgren. Wynn pops it behind the net. Curl does well to protect it. Her pass to the line. Wilgren slaps it. Backhander. Big save off McKenna Webster by Hannah Murphy. Wilgren let it go. That deflected through a screen and just went wide as the U.S. comes close to taking a 2-goal lead again. Intercepted by Connors, who plays it to an open wing. Petrie off the bench as the U.S. with a short change are doing just that. O'Brien offers stick on a pass from Abby Murphy. Petrie leaves it for Wilgren. She moves down, sharp angle, and just what the Canadians needed. A save, and more importantly, a stoppage of play. As the Americans turn it up on this last couple of shifts here in period 2. Hannah Murphy has performed well. Terrific last season at Colgate University. 17-3, had 4 shutouts, and has stopped 13 of the 15 she's had to deal with so far tonight. Swiderski for Julia Gosling, and look out. Looked like it got a piece of Abby Murphy at the American bench. These players with hopes of participating in future World Championships and Olympic Games. And many will. In fact, Abby Murphy and Britta Curl of the United States already have. Both played in the Worlds. Murphy, a member of the U.S. Olympic silver medal winning team. Julia Gosling puts on the brakes, protects it in front. Had a player broken up, back comes Edwards. In front, just hopped over the stick of Petrie. Nice saucer backhand pass by Layla Edwards. Just 18 years of age. One of the youngest players here. Coming off a great showing at the World Under-18 in Wisconsin, where she had 4 goals and 4 assists for 8 points. Lots of tools for number 5. It's a matter of maturing, getting stronger. I would suggest in the skating department. Gardner, Potomac, wrist shot, tried for the top shelf short side. Wozniewicz, Gosling, Megan Carter, good block by Edwards, who gets it done defensively, much to the appreciation of the U.S. bench. And now Nelson gets into it with Carter, and there's going to be at least one penalty. And only one. As Nelson from Andover, Minnesota, played collegiately the last couple of years at Minnesota State, on her way to the penalty box. And Canada about to enjoy its third power play. They're 0 for 2. The U.S. has yet to enjoy a player advantage in the game. And Canada has not been able to accomplish a whole lot with their first two cracks at it. Serdashny against Janicki on the draw, and the youngster, Janicki, wins it. And Maureen Murphy cleared it off Swiderski out of play. So Maureen Murphy out there, she's number 21. 2 assists in the game. Maureen is from Buffalo. Completed her second year at Northeastern University, where she had 30 goals and 56 points last season. Prior to her stint at Northeastern, 3 years at Providence. And another American penalty upcoming. So Canada is going to find itself in a position to have a 2-player advantage as Janicki gets the gate for hooking. So a 2-player advantage, Nelson and Janicki in the penalty box. Canada a 2-player advantage for 1 minute and 47 with a chance to draw even. So this is a very integral part of this game. And the U.S. wins another face-off and gets a zone clear. Messier to Sophie Shirley, former Saskatoon star growing up. Watched her at the Max tournament many years ago. Messier, Gosling, into the slot. Shirley let it go and fired it over top of the net. Swiderski. Serdachny. Gosling tried to go cross crease but fanned on it. Messier now. Moves to the middle. Canada works 5-on-3. Swiderski down low for Julia Gosling. Swiderski now. Messier waiting, holding, fanned. Serdachny with control, down to 35 to go in the 2-player advantage. Danielle Serdachny, 2 goals, 1 night ago in this series. Swiderski. Serdachny tried to shovel it short side. Shanahan would have none of it. Shirley again. Serdachny takes a long look. Blocked in front by O'Brien. Messier. Gosling, wrist shot, and just snapped it wide. Much to the chagrin of her mom and dad, who are not very far away. And the Nelson penalty is expired. Great chance for Gosling to score her second of this summer series. Wheeler trying to burst around Bookbinder. Wheeler is upended, and the U.S. with a massive kill. They give up nothing. after being down 2 players for a minute 47, and now they've got a 2-on-1. Janicki Nelson fanned on it, still loose. There's Hannah Murphy with a save. So the 2 players come out of the penalty box and have a great chance together, trying to add to the U.S. lead. Connors, who has the Canadian goal tonight. Maggie rips it, goes off of Bookbinder, and out of play. Terrific action here in Calgary between these 2 rivals. All the goals came in the first period off the sticks of Janicki and Curl. And for Canada, Maggie Connors. This summer series will conclude coming up on Saturday. The U18 groups will play one another at 4, and then a 7:30 matchup between these 2 teams once again. The U.S. trying to even this series at 1 game apiece after falling last night in a shootout. Earlier today, the Canadian U18 group beat the American U18 group 4-0, a shutout for Ariane LeBlanc. And Canada, a pretty dominant group, as they've won both of those matchups. So the power play not serving Canada well. They're now 0 for 4. And you wonder if missing on that lengthy 2-player advantage will come back to bite them tonight. (16-9) are the shots. Not been a lot of shots on goal here in period number 2. And certainly not enough for Canada when you think about the amount of power play time they've enjoyed. Batherson missing Fecto, and that's going to turn into an icing and a face-off back in Canadian territory. And the Americans will make the choice on which side they want the draw taken, and Kiara Zanin will take it to the right of goalie Hannah Murphy against Gabrielle David on her strong side. David wins it. Batherson pokes it out, and Abby Murphy takes over. Chips it to herself off the boards. Murphy, the dynamic winger. And she's got some bite to her game too. Saw that at the World Championship in particular here last August. And her shot handled quite routinely by 19-year-old Hannah Murphy. She played on the 15th against the women's national team. Stopped 5 of the 7 shots that she faced against the Canadian team on its way to Denmark for the World Championship. Starts a week from today. And the Americans are about to enjoy their first power play. They were 2 for 8 last night. And Rylan McKinnon from Cranbrook, British Columbia, 4-year player at the University of British Columbia, will take a seat with 5:47 to go in the second. And see if the U.S. can do what the Canadians failed to do. Connect with a power play. Levi out there, Peyton number 34 with Janicki, Wynn, Maureen Murphy, and Wilgren. And that shot looked like it hit Maureen Murphy. And from my vantage point, there looked to be some room top corner alongside as Markowski, Stephanie, clears it down the ice. She's from Edmonton. Wilgren finds Janicki. centered in front, swept away by Markowski, who's got a chance to clear again and makes no mistake. As Canada finds itself shorthanded for the 9th time in the summer series, but first time tonight. They were short 8 times in the series opener. David back against Janicki, just onside. Carter tried to dish it off for partner Nicole Gosling. Levi loses the handle. Maureen Murphy takes over. 2 assists in the game for Maureen Murphy. Wilgren thought about it. Haley Wynn looks for a shooting lane. Wilgren through the seam for O'Brien. Carter read it well. Nicole Gosling trying to rag some time off. She pins it, stripped from her. O'Brien in front for Webster, who chips it wide of the target. Curl off the bench. Time winding down in this U.S. power play. Bookbinder to Wilgren. In the seam for Curl, and they just failed to make the hook up. And the penalty to McKinnon is expired. Britta Curl. Great feed in front and a good stop. Off of O'Brien by Hannah Murphy. O'Brien didn't get all of it. Lamantia charges her way into the zone against David. Good strength by Lamantia. Bookbinder, tip but wide. As the U.S. continue to apply pressure after the power play has expired. Excellent game 2, as was game 1. Last night won in a shootout by Canada, 4-3. Here comes Petrie with speed. Dominique Petrie. Looking, holding. Cuts to the middle. Nice block by Carter. Springs Maddie Wheeler. Wethington up the boards. Pinching down was Markowski. Here comes an American odd player rush, but Canada back with Julia Gosling, and they might start one of their own, but the pass goes by Lexi Agia. And now hops over her stick. As the U.S. take control, Canada changing. Here comes the dangerous Murphy. Abby Murphy, she scores. Abby Murphy. Backhand top shelf. And the U.S. leads again by 2. A tough change for the Canadians. And the Americans take full advantage. And one of the last players on the American team, if you're Canada, you'd like to see get loose. And Abby Murphy makes no mistake. And the difference again is 2. Potomac into the zone, does well. Nice toe drag by Shirley. She went top shelf short side, but Shanahan got a piece. So a big goal here in the late stages for the United States by U.S. Olympian Abby Murphy. And it's 3-1. A perfectly executed backhander on the breakaway. Off the stick of Potomac, and Wilgren banks it towards Kelsey King. Broken up at the line. Wilgren carries on, and Messier turns back in her own zone. Batherson's pass to Serdachny. She's tied in a knot by McKenna Webster. Or is that Levi? No, that's 34. Levi, not 24. Janicki. the Canadians would like to get out of the period without more. Maybe they'd get one themselves. Connors, the Canadian goal getter, to the front, taken out of harm's way by Lamantia. Levi for Janicki. Carter is back. Peyton Levi moves in. A little juggle from Hannah Murphy, but makes her 17th save of the game. Not her best, but an important one, keeping the difference at 2. Canadians will go to the room looking for a way to create some more offense. In 2 periods, they have managed only 9 shots on goal, and they've had 4 power plays. They had 34 shots on goal through regulation and 5 minutes of 3-on-3 in the series opener. And the U.S. has defended very well. Their penalty killing's been a big story. One last crack at it, but the Canadians offside as Gabrielle David raced in and had some room and speed, but negated by an offside call. David Churkowski and Emmy Fecto from St. Odilon, Quebec. And the last shift for Canada. Edwards carries it in. Wethington, a last-second try, goes wide. Akervik sends it into the corner, and that'll do it. So a 5-on-5 breakaway goal by Abby Murphy. The lone goal of period number 2. And the U.S. development team takes a 3-1 lead to the dressing room against Team Canada, looking to even this summer series at 1 win apiece. Back in about 15 minutes with period number 3. Team USA with a 3-1 advantage on Team Canada. Game 2 of this summer series with the development teams of both countries. This has been going on for many a year, obviously interrupted for a couple of years by the pandemic, but swings back and forth generally between Canada and a U.S. site. A lot of it has been played in the United States over the years in Lake Placid. Buffalo actually played host this summer to all the U.S. women's camp activity, national team, development team, and the U18 team. Earlier today, Canada's U18 team down the United States, 4-0 behind the shutout goaltending of 17-year-old Ariane LeBlanc. 4-0. So they won in a shootout last night or yesterday afternoon into the evening, and the same today. So they're 2-0, but clearly the United States has been the better of the two groups in this development team game encounter as they're waiting. I know exactly what they're waiting for. There's still time left in the intermission, but it won't hurt as far as the ice is concerned. So much activity here at Winsport on this surface over the last month, whether it was Canada's U17 camp, U18, U20 on the men's side. Then the attention has shifted the last couple of weeks to the women's game, and that's what it's here for. This is the home of Hockey Canada. But a lot of games played on this surface in particular, and when it's 30 degrees outside, it's been a very hot summer here in southern Alberta. As the teams prepare, and if you're Corey Chevry, you're looking to find a way to generate some more offense. Canada has only recorded 9 shots on the American goalie, Callie Shanahan. The other end, Hannah Murphy of Canada, has faced 21, and Canada has enjoyed 4 power plays, including a 1-minute and 47-second 2-player advantage in the second, but unable to connect. Abby Murphy on a beauty of a breakaway goal, the only marker in the second period. So see how Canada can respond. But the Americans been a very determined group. They lost in a shootout last night to Canada, have a 2-goal edge going in to the third tonight. They tied that game last night with 2 seconds left as Murphy goes in search of her second of the game. Long slap shot through a partial screen that tests Hannah Murphy. Murphy, a very talented player, a U.S. Olympian this February in Beijing. She had 1 assist during that tournament, had 2 goals in this building for Canada in last summer's Women's World Championship. Dominic Petrie, Dominique's shot, hit a body, and back comes Julia Gosling for Maddie Wheeler. Looks like Canada may be shaking up its groups a little bit, looking for something different. And when you only have 9 shots on goal, probably time for a little something different. Megan Carter flips it wide, and so it's icing. One of the real differences tonight in the game has been the Americans' ability to take away the middle of the ice. In so many games, the team that controls the area between the 2 blue lines generally applies the most pressure. And the U.S., I felt, have had quite an advantage in that territory. Wheeler to Carter. Gosling, Aegea, and Maddie Wheeler up front, and it's another flip and another icing. Canada just has not had a lot to work with in that area that I was just talking about. The word that coaches use in the sport is connected. Canada has not been as connected as their American counterparts tonight. Off of Kelly Brown. And here comes Maddie Wheeler. Flips it in. The end of a Canadian shift. Julia Gosling remains out, and Kelly Brown takes over. Good play by Wozniewicz to steal. Wilgren up the boards. Just out, but Potomac plays it right back in. Amy drew an assist on the Connors lone Canadian goal back in the first. Shots on goal were 10-3 U.S. in the second. Here comes Janicki. Quick wrist shot, steered away. Nelson shot blocked in front by Ashley Messier. As Gardner makes her way through center and now shoots it in as Canada looks to establish a forecheck. Maureen Murphy has the trailing Tessa Janicki. Kicked away the rebound, just missed the stick of Peyton Levi. There's a penalty on a pull down at center. Canada's going back to the power play. Fecto behind the net, bodied by Janicki. And for the fifth time, Canada will have a power play opportunity. But that's been a key story in the game. By my count, is Madeline Wethington from Edina, Minnesota. Spent the last 3 years at the University of Minnesota. Takes a seat. And Canada really needs to find some answers with the extra player. Only 2 shots on those 4 power plays, and one was a 5-on-3 for 1:47. See what they have to offer here. Great shot block by Bookbinder. The American defense has been excellent. Sarah Paul to Messier, and there's O'Brien with a good stick. And she'll clear it right in on Hannah Murphy. A lot of Murphys in the game. 2 for the United States and 1 for Canada. Bookbinder behind the net as Canada looks to regroup. Practice tomorrow. I know where there will be some concentration. Serdachny pulled down by Britta Curl, who has one of the 3 U.S. goals. And Nicole Lamantia finds an opening and sends it the length of the ice. Ooh, a collision away from the puck. Ouch. Dominique Petrie is hurt. She's really hurt. And the Americans not happy with how long. It was an inadvertent collision involving Carter and the U.S. player, and she's in difficulty. We have already today seen an injury with a player down in the U18 game, Reese Logan of Canada. And there is lots of concern. Absolutely no intent. Both players were like turning to get involved, and they hit one another hellaciously. This comes nearly 4 minutes into the third. And again, quiet in the building with hopes of a good end result. So I believe that's Dominique Petrie down on the ice. And hope she's going to be okay. Summer Series will conclude with 2 games on Saturday at 4 and 7:30. The U18s again will go early, and these 2 development teams at 7:30. For you Hockey Canada fans, lots of action tomorrow at the World Junior Championship. That's where I'll be headed after tonight's action to watch Canada and Czechia, after the Czechs pulled a massive upset against the United States last night in a quarterfinal. Canada actually had its hands full with Switzerland, but won that game 6-3. In fact, for all the favorites yesterday, it was not easy. Sweden beat Latvia 2-1. And Finland did not have an easy time with Germany in the first of 4 games. There's some more medical attention on the way. And just hope the young woman is going to be all right. Well, it looks like she is at least up. Not on her feet yet, but she's off of her back. And the best attention you could get. Big round of applause. It looked at first to me like it might be a knee. And she's not putting any pressure whatsoever on that left side. With the help of her teammates, I sure hope Dominique Petrie is going to be okay. She is from Hermosa Beach, California. And spent the last 2 seasons at Harvard University. You never like to see it, but hopefully she's going to be all right. Somehow the teams have to both shake it off. It's not easy for either side in these situations, and it was certainly an accidental situation. 2 players, from my vantage point, out of the corner of my eye, turning to get involved in the play, and kaboom. So Canada with 45 seconds left on their 5th power play of the game, and they have not managed a shot in the first 1:15 of this one either. Been a big story, the U.S. penalty killing and just their overall checking in the game. It's been excellent. Canada had 34 shots on goal last night. Tonight they have 9. Same 2 teams. The Americans with 25. Messier. The Canadian power play in behind Sophie Shirley. Haley Wynn back to collect it. Has room and backhands it down the ice. And the U.S. penalty killing, again, superb. Canada just has not been able to figure that area out. Here they come at the tail end of it. Serdachny with the first shot of the period as she went coast to coast, dragged it to the middle, and Danielle Serdachny, product of Edmonton, with a chance that tested Callie Shanahan. Canada now 0 for 5. See if they can build, and that did not miss by much. Off the stick of Gardner. Clean face-off win by Potomac, and Gardner just misfired. Wozniewicz. Blocked by Lamantia. She's got it again. Bodied by Janicki, who opened the scoring early in the first. Backhanded to the line, and now Janicki will carry it out. Finds Maureen Murphy. Stopped Canada, maybe trying to get away, but couldn't. Bard is caught on the rush. Here comes Gardner. Dishes off. Wozniewicz had a good chance, but a good American stick sent it wide. Things start to open up here a little. Janicki. A juggle by Hannah Murphy, but she's able to cover it and didn't like the extra little jab that she had to deal with. A Canadian line change led to a breakaway in the second for Abby Murphy, who scored, and the Canadians nearly took advantage of a U.S. line change there. Swiderski, pressured by Britta Curl. Cherkowski lifts the stick of Akervik to make sure it gets out. Here comes Annie Cherkowski. Upended behind the net. Play continues. Cherkowski stays with it, wants to center it. Fecto in front. Gabrielle David was alone, but she fanned on it. Back comes O'Brien in transition. Casey's pass gobbled up by Swiderski. 26-10 the shots, now 27 as O'Brien tests Murphy from a sharp angle, and the Canadians will ice the puck here. Just past 6.5 minutes, or nearly 6.5 minutes into the third, and the Americans continue to lead by 2. Took a 2-0 lead on goals by Janicki and Curl. Maggie Connors replied on a pretty pass from Potomac on a 2-on-1. And Abby Murphy on a breakaway. The only goal of period 2 for the United States. Rylan McKinnon for Cherkowski. Out there with Gabriel David. Down the ice it goes as Anna Wilgren back. She's from Madison, Wisconsin. Zanin rink wide. Murphy slaps it on target. As Nicole Gosling upends Wilgren. Wilgren keeps it in at the point. Drop pass for Abby Murphy. And her pass well out of the reach of Wilgren, who has to go back to collect it. Anna plays at Minnesota State in Mankato, Minnesota. One of the reasons I know that is it's the longtime home of training camp of a team from that state known as the Vikings. The United States in control here in Game 2. They lead it 3-1 and have only surrendered 10 shots. 7-1 are the shots in favor of the United States here in the third, as the U.S. has just been very stingy and relentless in their 3-zone checking game under the guidance of 42-year-old Baldwinsville, New York product, Allison Coomey. And at the Canadian bench, just looking for something to get a spark. A 4-3 shootout win last night, where they directed 34 shots through regulation in the 5-minute overtime at Callie Shanahan. Kayla Osborne was the Canadian goalie, who turned aside 33 of 36. Face off to the right of Shanahan, or make that the left. my right. Brown for the United States on the face-off against Amy Potomac. Connors shovels it down low. Potomac with it, centered it in front, wanted Sarah Paul, and she was stripped before she could shoot it. Markowski leaves it for Paul in tight quarters. And the U.S. again on the right side of the puck everywhere you look. Kelsey King with Brown going to the net, tipped it on target, forcing Hannah Murphy to make another save. Brown. Lamantia stays with it, runs into Markowski. Now it's Nelson, stripped by Messier, who sends it ahead. And Paul taps it in as both teams making changes. Rylan McKinnon from Cranbrook, British Columbia. Potomac, another BC product, has control. Amy Potomac on the cycle, dishes off, and the shot off the stick of Swiderski ends up in the catching glove of 19-year-old Kelly Shanahan. She has not had a lot of work to do. This will be a whale of a game Saturday, and there's a quick shot. Lots of time left in this one is Canadian face-off victory, and it was 22-14 in favor of the Americans after 2 periods in the face-off circle. Thank you, Chris Colwell. But Canada with a face-off win, and Cherkowski from Coldstream, British Columbia, had a fine chance. Janicki, just 18 years old. To Maureen Murphy. Off her stick, she'll track it down, back to the line, and Amy Fecto is there, tries to send Potomac away. Can't, because Wethington was in the road. Nice tip into the zone. Cherkowski behind her back as Peyton Levi sends it ahead for Maureen Murphy. Nicole Gosling defends her well. One of the 2 Goslings in this Canadian roster win. Wide open in front was Levi and couldn't transfer it from skate to stick. If she did, it's 4-1. Sophie Shirley with a step, trying to cut around Wilgren. Gardner, her pass off a stick, and it'll force Megan Carter to go back to regroup. And Wynn content with a 2-goal lead to shovel it deep. Batherson behind her own net. Carter and now Connors. Here comes the Canadian goal getter. Basically on her own as she enters the zone. Shoots it wide. Gia off the bench. Back to the line to Ashley Messier. Let it go. Hit a body in front. It hit her own teammate, Maddie Wheeler. Canada slowly but surely trying to put some more pressure on the U.S. team. But Curl tries to spring O'Brien. And O'Brien will play it to an open wing. Batherson with Abby Murphy in hot pursuit, and Bookbinder clears it behind the goal. Connors fans on a flip. Bookbinder upended. Here comes Gia to the middle, and right there was Abby Murphy. McKinnon carries in as the Canadians make changes. 8:40 to go in regulation. Need one here to get back in. It's Serdechny to the front. And again, the U.S., excellent work defending the house area. Gosling, Julia lets it go, but it's well wide. And McKinnon will go back to track it down. So a little more offensive spark here for Canada in the last couple of minutes. But still, not a lot of grade A's. Nelson. Into the corner for Zanin. Loose in front, great save. They score. Kiara Zanin stayed with it. Hannah Murphy made a couple of good saves, but Zanin made good on that opportunity and beats goaltender Hannah Murphy, and the U.S. now with a comfortable 3-goal advantage. As the product of Fairport, New York, has given the U.S. a 3-goal lead. Carter into the zone. Wethington has been an absolute tower of strength on the U.S. defense tonight, number 4, and she's not alone. Brown leaves it. King snaps it. And Kelsey is stopped by Hannah Murphy, who has faced 33 shots to 13 at the other end. Kelsey King, the last shot on target. She's from Elk River, Minnesota, and another product of Minnesota State University. Has the puck now, protects it, looks at Wynn, makes a good pass. And Haley Wynn snaps it on target. It's all USA in game 2 of the development matchup between these two countries, as the U.S. find itself 7-0-2 from tying this 3-game summer set at 1 game apiece. 4-3 Canada in a shootout last night. It's been a dominated affair by the Americans tonight. Be an exciting ending on Saturday at 7:30 when these teams collide for the final time. In the U18 series, Canada has won both, 4-0 today, 6-5 yesterday in a shootout in a game where they outshot the Americans 55-17. Canadian goaltender today, Ariane LeBlanc, stopped all 25 that she faced. Murphy, who's been one of the best U.S. players tonight, lost the draw. Wilgren runs into Markowski. Jennifer Gardner carries in. Time and space has been at a premium for Canada. Peyton Levi chips it out to center. Messier. Levi is right there on Gabrielle David. Wilgren, good lead pass to Levi. Tries to cut to the middle. Janicki, her shot hits Messier. Levi, sharp angle, hammers it on target. And Murphy read it well and made the save. Bookbinder runs into Turkowski, but able to flip it in. Excellent played game by the Americans, a frustrating one for Canada. McKenna Webster off the bench. In front of the net, Curl is there, so's Janicki. Look at all the blue jerseys in the middle of the ice. Curl. Bookbinder. for Britta Curl, who scored the second U.S. goal here this evening. Sarah Swiderski up the middle, and Maddie Wheeler will chip in, give chase. Wheeler puts on the brakes, looking for reinforcements. Lamantia stripped her, got it as far as the line. Julia Gosling kept it in, but ended up flipping it into the United States bench. And that'll lend itself to one more 3 one-minute timeouts per period. Generally the case in international play, and is here in Calgary. As this night winding down, and one more day of women's action here in Calgary on Saturday. Our Sandra Prasina will have all the action for you for the 2 games on Saturday. Corey Chevrolet chatting with Marc-Andre Cote. Callie Shanahan has been the goalie of record in both games in this series, even though the Americans made their way here to Canada and Calgary with 3. Amanda Teal and Abby Levi, the other goalies. Sure, we'll see one of them on Saturday. That would be my guess, but maybe not. Canada trying to mount something. Carter, Julia Gosling to the front, turned aside by Shanahan. Serdachny on her backside, pulls it to Carter. And there is Wethington off the stick of O'Brien, who races in. Layla Edwards, basically been the 13th forward for the U.S. as this time 2 Canadians collide away from the puck, and again, Megan Carter was involved. Certainly not the type of collision we witnessed earlier in the period. Edwards in the high slot, poked off her stick and out to center by Potomac. Wynn finds Zanin, who has a third period goal, to Murphy, and Murphy drilled Sarah Paul. It's one of the things I noticed about Abby Murphy here last summer during the Women's World Championship. Not only is she skilled, but she plays with an edge. Edwards carries in. Layla toe drag, fired it wide. Swiderski to lead a rush to Gardner. Jennifer Gardner. Back to the line, McKinnon, lots of traffic in front. Swiderski, look at again, nothing but blue in the paint. Swiderski wants to shoot it through. She'll backhand it, but wide. Will Canada remove Murphy from their net here late in the third? It's a 3-goal deficit. Might not be worth, or at least might be worth, giving it a go. Wozniewicz to Fecto. Fecto carries in, puts on the brakes, looks for a trailer, wrist shot, Nicole Gosling. Her shot stopped by Shanahan. Gabrielle David, she's been one of the best Canadian forwards in the game. Brown, the outlet for Wynn. Carter keeps it and sends it behind the net. Wozniewicz, Canadian net, still has Hannah Murphy in it. Carter, a wrister. It got on its edge, and like a baseball, it started to curve on its way to the net. As Megan Carter from Milton, Ontario, helped Canada to an under-18 women's world title in 2019 in Japan. let it go with authority, but no traffic, and Callie Shanahan makes her 14th save. Wethington to Janicki. It's been a terrific line for the U.S. Janicki with Maureen Murphy, who has two helpers, and Peyton Levi. Batherson. Wethington in deep. Ashley Messier trying to poke it by, and could use one word for the United States tonight in their checking game in all three zones, and that would be relentless. They are full marks for a 4-1 victory, or at least lead. And they'll be penalized for a sixth time. And their penalty killing has been beyond good. Canada's 0 for 5 in that area, and have only managed, I believe, 3 shots on goal in those 6 power plays. Under 2 to go in Game 2. Game 3 set for 7:30 on Saturday. Carter. Nicole Gosling dishes off. Good wrist shot from Serdachny, and a save by Shanahan. Nice seam pass. Wilgren goes to her knees. It's underneath her. Serdachny and Wheeler for Canada trying to pull it out. Wilgren knocked down from behind. And the whistle blows with 1:09 to go. So in case you missed it earlier, in the U18 Summer Series between these two great hockey nations, Canada with a 4-0 triumph. They've won both of the U18 games. They'll play Game 3 Saturday afternoon at 4. The development team series is going to be tied at 1 apiece. Wheeler off the flank, off a body, but didn't make its way through to the net. Carter. Gosling back to Wheeler. Carter lets it go. Another American block. This one by Wilgren as she heads off on a change. Wheeler carries in. Maddie Wheeler in front, and Gosling set up well, couldn't pull the trigger. Maybe Canada's best power play opportunity of the night. Serdachny cuts to the middle with an excellent wrister, looking for her third of the Summer Series, but right into the glove of Shanahan, who's been a little busier. She's had to deal with 10 shots here in the third, only 9 through the first 2 periods of play. So we'll likely drop it one more time tonight. And then the teams likely will practice tomorrow and get ready for Saturday. Potomac shot off the leg of Akervik. And Team USA will tie the development side of the Summer Series at 1 game apiece with an impressive 4-1 win over Team Canada here at the Markin McPhail Arena at Winsport, the home of Hockey Canada. A well-earned 4-1 victory. I'm going to guess Canada will put forth a much stiffer test for the Americans on Saturday evening. Well, really enjoyed it today. Absolutely a thrill every time I get an opportunity to call international hockey involving these two countries in the women's game. Been a pleasure to bring it to you wherever you have been looking in. For our HN Live crew, and in particular Chris Colwell and our great camera operator Ryan Radke, I'm Peter Lubardi, is saying so long from Calgary.